morning. Thank you, Kubra, for kicking off our day two. As she said, welcome to Miami. Yesterday was a nice day, and I think today promises to be hopefully an even better day. It's my pleasure and honor to be here and talking to all of you. Working with developers is something I've been doing for the last 7 years, but it's always super excited when there's a chance to meet developers from any part of the world. And North America is really special because I also represent the North America team here. When I was preparing for the talk today, and I was talking to Naveen and Kubra, like, what should we be talking about? We have a lot of product talks already planned. We already covered what the region is doing. So I thought I'll probably share a little bit of my own journey and story, what I have done within Google in the last few years. And I've tried to frame it in such a way that hopefully each one of us can take some learnings from that as we try to build our own communities, our own practice of working with developers in different parts of the world. And at the end, I'll also make sure that I leave time for any questions, because it's really important for us to get to hear from each one of you, answer any questions that may come up, and all of that stuff. So the question definitely comes up when I'm meeting developers in different parts of the world. What do you do at Google? Like, you are always traveling, you're going to these places, you're meeting people, you're talking. What is your role? There are two parts of my role. One is I lead the global team that works on all the ecosystem programs. So when you look at programs like Google Developer Groups, Cloud Communities, Women Tech Maker, that's the team that I represent. And of course, the North America team that also reports to me directly. But the most important thing that I'm proud of is I see myself as the community advocate. There are more than 10, probably 20 teams within Google that wants to work with developer communities. And you must have seen that. There are more and more Googlers trying to reach out to you. We want to come to your DevFest and speak. We want to do study jam. We want to do code lab. My job is to be the two-way advocate. What's right for community, make sure that we are prioritizing that and sharing it with the product areas. And whatever Google has available for developers out there, putting it out for you. So I know there are roles called developer advocates. I see myself as the community advocate in this larger scheme of things. My own journey with Google goes back 7 years. So I studied computer science. I worked at Amazon. My first job was a software developer at Amazon, which I did for 2.5 years. And for those of you for whom Amazon is one of your first jobs, it actually prepares you for a lot of things in future. So that happened with me as well. But while I was doing that, I was having a lot of fun. The thing that was missing for me is I didn't feel that I had enough impact out there beyond the code that I was writing, I was publishing. And I always had the inclination to be also on the business side. So the role then I started to look for myself is, what is an opportunity where there's intersection of technology and business that I can operate in? That led to me working in a consulting firm and then finally landing this role at Google, which started in India. So back then, Google wanted to hire someone in India to set up developer relations for Google in India. So I got that role, expanded that work across all of Southeast Asia, and for the last 4 years have been in the headquarters leading the global team and also the North America team. But I always remind myself, this is where it all started. I still remember that day when it was, I think, a November evening in India when I was flying to Hyderabad to start my job at Google. And that was one of the most unusual flight rides for me as well, because I was the only passenger on that plane. The story being this airlines was about to go bankrupt, and so people were not traveling on it anymore. They were not sure if the flight will go or not. I was, for some reason, booked on that. So I was like, my first charter plane experience. I've never flown anything like that after that. But then the journey, as I said, took me to different parts of the world. I was doing tattoos at many of the community booths, going to DevFest W, which is now called IWD, Women Tech Maker event series. And this one is actually in Istanbul. And I again remember this because I was the only male speaker in that lineup of 30 women speakers, something I am actually feeling very proud of. And then, of course, the journey. This map represents some of the geographies where I've worked with developers directly. So as you can see, there are a lot of regions that I still want to engage with developers and work with them. Africa is one of the places, it's on my list. I want to spend more time there, understand what's happening in the ecosystem, and how can we partner with developers more closely. Same with LATAM. But this journey of 7 years has brought us here. And this is something I keep reminding myself and my team in a pretty humble way. Like, the responsibility for us has grown. It's not just we are operating in India, North America. We have developer communities in 140 countries. Working with 5,000 community leaders like like all of you here in this room, and through that able to engage and serve over 1 million developers in person every year. And this is growing. Hopefully this year it's going to be 1.5 million, if not more. And this presents a set of really unique challenges and opportunities, something that I focused in my journey so far. And those are some of the lessons I want to share with you, because as you are trying to build your own community and maybe like serve developers in your region, in your cities, I hope some of those learnings are useful for you as well. And basically, if you crystallize, it's across 3 buckets. First is feedback. The second being keeping the community first mentality. And the second most important for me, the third most important for me, is building a very diverse and inclusive leadership team that you have in your community group, and also the community that you build overall. This phrase is used more commonly these days, community first. But what does it really mean? What does it translate to? For me and my team, what this means is every single day when we are making any decision, the litmus test to test that decision is this really the right thing to do for the community? If we want to do a study jam campaign, or if you want to share some content around that with you, is that the right thing for your community? If that decision starts to be maybe or we don't know, I have told my team we are going to push back. We're going to push back to the Google teams where we're not sure this is the right thing to do for the community. And I would argue this is the same kind of mindset each one of us can take when we are trying to serve our own chapters in our community. If you have a speaker, if you have a sponsor that's coming and like offering a lot of, hey, we want to fund your dev fest, we have these 4 or 5 speakers that are going to come, it's great, I'm getting sponsorship and resources and money that will help me run the event more smoothly, but is this the right thing for community? And if that decision is not an overwhelmingly yes, we need to spend more time to think about it. Now, the challenging part that comes here, and the way that we operate is there's a lot of consensus-based decision-making. So sometimes that takes time. The first option that you have might not be really tailored to the community's need. But maybe you have to spend more time, try to fine-tune it, and think about it. That's why some of our programs take longer to iterate and pivot, and I know that leads to frustration in our community leadership group here. Like, hey, we give this feedback, why is Google not moving fast enough? Sometimes there might be other parts of Google or other parts of your own ecosystem that's giving us feedback that might be different from that. So we need to align all of those together. But again, this is something that we get a lot of support, again, from Google's leadership internally. Like, part of the reason we are proud of our work is we are putting the community first and the ecosystem first. The second is, and this is the mentality that I carry with myself every single day, you must have 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think it's back on. So this is the mentality we are trying to carry with ourselves. You see a lot of Googlers here. I know many of us were talking to you one-on-one yesterday. Naveen took a lot of questions. We had a panel. For us, feedback is critical. We don't want to sit in an ivory tower in Mountain View or in Sunnyvale and try to design programs for regions that some of us have actually never been to. Like, forget about like that global map. There are parts of US that many of us have not been to. So like we can't guess what the developer needs are over there. You are the folks that are gonna tell us. You're also the folks who will keep us humble and keep us on track, right? Like we don't want to make a mistake and learn about it 2 years down the line. So please tell us about that way sooner. And feedback across both programs and products is critical. Firebase is a great example of a product that was developed through a lot of feedback. We were flowing developer experts, community leaders, developers from across the world to Mountain View so that they can sit in front of the product managers and talk about the pain point that goes behind building mobile apps. And that led to a product like Firebase, which is incredibly successful. And now more and more product teams are reaching out to my group for the same kind of exercise, like for cloud. Like, hey, we want to build this new feature, this product. Can you give us feedback on that? I think this is also critical as we run our own individual communities. Gathering regular feedback from your members. Is the content stream working for you? Is this venue appropriate? Is this venue accessible for everyone or not? Like we're doing these meetups, which is it too late in the evening for you? Is it good time? Are the weekends better or not? Unless you don't have that constant stream of feedback, you will be missing on a lot of things. One area where this has particularly helped me, especially as we were trying to build this developer relations organization within Google, which is community first, traditionally, most of the DevRel functions in the industry were one-way focused, where the company will come on the stage, talk about, here are the offerings we have for you, and then just go back. For us, as we have introduced this two-way communication, it has really made a lot of things much faster for us. We're getting a lot of real-time feedback and improving things. And you'll see some of those of you who are at Next and I/O, you'll see some of the product announcements this year are actually a direct result of the feedback we have received in the last couple of years. And finally, the thing that I said, one of the most critical things for me is diversity and inclusion. And this picture is, when I started working on this challenge, and this is something I would say for me as well is work in progress. This picture represents a mindset that we all carry with us. And it took me a little bit time to figure it out. This is the mindset of likability. We like people who like us and are like us. And if you go to and you talk to people who specialize in negotiation skills, this is something that is exploited a lot. When someone is trying to negotiate with you on something, they will bring up likability. Oh, you're from the same city, or we look similar, some of that stuff. And this is the same mindset that sometimes comes in the way when we are trying to get more diversity and inclusion going in our community, going in our team. Why is that? We like people who are like us. So like, I know how you are. I don't have to spend a lot of my mental energy. I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. So it's easy for me to keep moving. And also, you like me, so I don't have to spend any time on relationship building. We already click. We can move ahead. The challenge is when you're trying to swim against the stream, trying to work with people who are not like you. So then you have to figure it out. Like, OK, so what are the values that you carry? And what do I bring to the table? And also the people who don't like you, then you have to work on the relationship side. Like, hey, like, how can we make sure that we can work together? Again, when you're trying to make this work, it again goes back to, there might be things not at the surface that are similar, but maybe you carry the same set of values. And everyone in this room, I know we represent diverse backgrounds and regions that we come from, but we all carry the same value of caring about the community. So that makes us all similar, right? Like that's something common among all of us. This was something that I had to overcome quite a lot, and as I said, still work in progress internally within Google as well when I've been trying to build my own team. Like not hiring the people that are the obvious choices or like come to you when you open a role, but how can you really try to go out of your way and find people who will bring a lot of value to the table, but not be like similar to one of the other persons that you already have on the team. And a lot of people, because it's kind of like a lot of people are talking about diversity and inclusion these days. And my own experience is it's not just the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do, but it's not just that. It makes tremendous business sense to do it. When I started leading the team, I very quickly realized that the developer ecosystem that we are trying to serve is not North America. It's not India. It's a developer ecosystem across 140 countries. So if my team is not a representation of that, we won't be bringing the same set of ideas to the table. If Google is trying to serve users across the board globally, it cannot afford to have a community leadership group that only represents a section of that, because then we are actually leaving value on the table. I would argue the same applies to each of our communities that we run. Like many of us don't want to bring only a section of our community to our meetups. We want to bring everyone, right? So in order to achieve that, it's really important that we focus on some of these core areas and values. As I said, I feel we all are better together. And these are the three things that I have consciously done, and I think this will probably help each one of us as well as trying to take some of this work forward. First is, it's really important that you practice what you preach. Your leadership group should represent the diversity and inclusion that you're talking about. Like if you want to get more women to come to your meetup, people will think, oh, you have 4 or 5 co-organizers, but I don't see any of them from a different gender or background. So it's very important that you do that. Diversity and inclusion goes across multiple areas. Gender is important, yes, but then there's language, there's religion, there's race, all of those factors. My own team is a good representation of that. We met some of them here last couple of days, but I'm really proud that I have a really diverse team that brings ideas that would not be obvious to me, because I'm not exposed to any of those cultural differences, cultural ideas, some of that stuff. The second most important thing for me is we should have resources and channels to de-escalate. Because as I said, when we're trying to address this problem, we're trying to swim against the stream. We're trying to do relationship building. We're trying to get to know the other person or the group that we're trying to work with. And there will be misunderstandings. There will be miscommunication. And instead of it snowballing and becoming something that you can't come back from, are there enough resources and channels in your community, in your leadership group, to quickly de-escalate things and try to bring it on track where possible? And finally, most important, to have a really clear community code of conduct. When someone new is coming into your community and your leadership group, what are the do's and don'ts? And like, what are the red lines that will not be tolerated if they are crossed, and what are the implications? And also, if something like that happens, make sure that people know that action was taken. We don't need to go into the specifics of who was involved and all, but let people know that, hey, we had an issue that was reported, action has been taken. That's a good reminder for everyone that we have a community of code, a code of conduct in which we are operating. So those are the three things that have helped me personally as I've tried to be on this journey of building this organization within Google. And again, these are the areas I think we all can learn from. And finally, I want to leave us with a thought, the concept of empathy. The question that would be obviously, like, what is empathy? And I would love to hear from this group, like, what do we think is empathy? Sorry? Passion? Compassion, yeah?
Putting yourself in that person's shoes.
Exactly. So that's the answer I was looking for. Like, there are multiple definitions of empathy. The one that at least resonates with me, and it's not the only one that's right. Like, there might be multiple definitions which are right. The one that I associate most with is putting yourself in the other person's shoes, and like trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes and trying to see the situation, see the surroundings from that person's point of view. The third question many of you would be thinking about, like, hey, like, aren't we all good at this? Like, we are running communities, and like, yes, I get empathy, what empathy is. The reason I wanted to bring up this topic is I think there is a need for us to remind about this. Like, I work with the North America team very closely, and there have been some instances and issues and situations that have been brought to my notice that I feel if we had more empathy dealing with each other and dealing with our community, would probably not have gone to a situation where they eventually went to. And therefore, yes, this is something we all probably know, but it's always important for us to keep reminding about what empathy is. And this is a simple way to think about like what empathy is and how does it compares to sympathy and apathy. Sympathy is when you're trying to like feel bad about some situation, like, oh, I'm really sorry that you're having to go through this. Like, I'm trying to do whatever is possible to help you. Empathy is where you're trying to take care of yourself, but also putting yourself in the other person's shoes and trying to help the person. And apathy is where we don't care. Like, okay, you are going through this tough situation, tough luck, I can't help you, it's not my problem. We want to be more in that empathy zone as much as time, because we all in this room are leaders of our community, of our ecosystem, the developers that we represent. And one of the good traits of a successful leader is to be empathetic with the people that we work with. And one of the things, as we think about that, is self-compassion. We all have tough jobs, right? We all have maybe a regular day job. We're also trying to serve the community's need. Are we taking care of ourselves or not? Are we putting our own oxygen masks first before helping others? And this is something very obvious, but a lot of people forget that. And when your own internal, when you're not taking care of yourself, the energy that you have to exercise empathy also goes down. And then you make maybe some of those decisions that you would have not done otherwise, or you might communicate in a certain way because you're basically like stressed, or you are like tired and you don't have the energy to spend on trying to do that. Let's try to make it work kind of a situation. And I know many of us travel, so this is something that we get reminded every single time we board on a plane. Put your own oxygen mask first before trying to help others. And the final that I want to leave each one of us with is active listening. As we're working across cultural differences, cultural boundaries, with new organizers in our group, with new members coming on board, and as we focus on this area of bringing more and more people from diverse backgrounds in our community, this will be way more important. How can we practice more active listening? How can we not listen to interrupt, but listen to understand the other person's perspective, absorb it, and then take it forward? So with that, I'll wrap up. As I said, it's always a pleasure to be here in front of this group, talk to all of you, engage, learn what you all are doing in your community, in your ecosystem. I'm happy to take questions if there are any, and thank you so much.